Okay, here we go. So again, I'm going to talk about still images just to do some animation. So let's say that you are doing stop motion, right? I don't really have a good stop motion example right now here on this computer. So to do stop motion, you take a picture, move something, 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 and of course you do 24 frames a second, which takes a long time. You've all seen Chicken Run or one of those, right? Okay, so how do I do something like that in Premiere? Well, I'm going to start a new project, and I'm going to hit OK. And before I import my pictures, I need to make a decision. And that decision is going to be how many seconds will that picture be in the timeline. And so by default right now, the default settings for still images in Premiere is 150 frames, which is how long would 150 frames be? 5 seconds, exactly, if you're calculating 30 frames a second. To adjust that setting, you go underneath Premiere, Preferences, and you go to where it says, well, they keep changing it. General, no, it's not in General, it's going to be under Graphics. They keep changing where you will do that, and it's under, it's in here, I know it. Here it is, timeline. Still image duration, 5 seconds. Do you see it right there? So again, it's under the preferences, and if you're on Mac or Windows, I meant, there's a preferences in a different location. I think it's under File. But on Mac, it's here. And so if I wanted each one of those pictures to be 1 frame, I would put 1 in here. Or not 1 second, I go frames. And you can put in 1. So I often do animations. I have people do 3D animations for me. So I mix 3D animations. Let me just show you one real quick so I can show you what I mean here. Let's just go here. Let's go to, I don't know, YouTube. YouTube? That's YouTube. Whoosh, Paul Logan is killing me here. Let me get to my channel here.
Finding studs and metal is E200, 200 is
okay, right here. So as you can see, there's a part of this video right here where there's a 3D animation of the product. See that right there? Okay, so this 3D animation of the product, you have to use still images. Because what I want to do is I want to be able to take the background that's behind the picture here. Okay, so this file is saved out of the 3D animation program as a PNG. And so here, where's my marker here? There's a dry erase marker. All right, you know the formats we have, right? For pictures, we have JPEG, we have PNG, and you got Photoshop, which would also have a transparent. So JPEG can have a transparent layer. So whenever you bring in anything, it's going to be square. Even if you have a product in there, it's going to have to bring it in, and you can't take the background out very easily. But if you save as a PNG, you can have a 32-bit, it's called 32-bit PNG, where it will save an image. And of course, everything in the computer is square. No matter what you save, it's always going to be square. But I can have my product in here with a transparent. This is all transparent out there on the outside. So what I have the person do, the industrial designer makes this actually, he saves each frame out as an individual picture. So then I bring it into Premiere at 1 frame. That's what I'm showing you at the preferences. And then I put all those frames into the timeline. And then the background is gone, and I can put it over top of a crazy background like this. Okay, so what I'm trying to show you here is that this This is a very important feature right here inside of Premiere right here, being able to tell it the duration of a still image. By putting 1 in there, oh, it doesn't go to 1. I can't go to 1? 1 frames? Still image default duration 2? Oh, I don't know. Somehow you could put a 1 in there. But then if I import my pictures now, if I import my pictures, I did do some pictures somewhere. Didn't I have some pictures? What did I call them? Pictures. I would bring them in as the entire folder. I wouldn't try and bring them in individually like this. I'd bring them in as a folder. Once I have the folder, then what I could do is I drag the entire folder into the timeline. And then you'll see, oh, it goes really fast. And it looks like it, yeah, they're each 2 frames. I don't know why it wouldn't let me, but you'll see right here. Watch it change the pictures right there. So they're all short. So that's a quick way to do some. 2 frames?
Okay, so you have 1 frame per what, second?
Yeah, so that would be 2. It would be it's at 30 frames a second. So you know, each.
So it's 1/6 of a second.
Yeah, I guess. So you can see the pictures going really fast. So that's the easy way. The challenge you have also is that, you know, if you don't do that by setting the pictures up ahead of time and you try and do it by hand, here's how you do it by hand. And what I mean by hand is that you can click on an individual picture itself and change the duration by going under speed and duration right here. And then I can change it from 2 to, I don't know, 22 if I want. 22 frames. And it'll make it 22 frames. But that's a lot of work. What I'm trying to say is by changing the preferences ahead of time, you can quickly get your pictures to be the length you want them before you import them. Does that make sense? Okay. That's all I wanted to point out there. It's a very useful way of dealing with still images is by using them. And then again, bring the folder in and drag the entire folder into the timeline. So I brought the entire folder in of the pictures and drag the entire folder in. And you'll notice, see how it puts the folder in? So that's a very useful technique that I have found of dealing with still images. Can I change the duration in here? You can, but it's a little bit more work. So try and prepare ahead of time is what I'm trying to say. Okay, let's try the ants running on the ground. I'm going to start a new project here. And then the folder that I have is called Columbia footage, I think, or something like that. What is it called? Columbia video. And so then be aware, one of the problems you run into, and this bothers me, is that you never used to be able to have multiple projects open at the same time in Premiere, but now you can. So I started a new project, and here it is, ants I called it, right? But the things I was doing with pictures is still open over here. This is new to this version of Premiere. In the previous versions of Premiere, if you wanted a new project, you had to close an existing project. It kind of bothers me because it's not my normal way of doing things now. I'm starting to mix from one project to the other, and it's kind of confusing. So just be aware of that. So if I want to get rid of this one, the previous one, you've got to close it. To do that, I usually, you can either right-click or you click on it here, and you can right-click and say Close Project, and whatever, and it closes it. So just be aware of that. Again, I'm going to bring in my ants. You can bring the entire folder in if you want, or you can bring in the individual pieces. And then there's some Vivaldi. There's some music in there. I don't know. Howling Wolves as well. I don't know what's in there. I'm going to bring all this stuff in there. What did that say? They're going to discontinue what? 32-bit QuickTime support editing. Really? Whatever. Okay, here we go. So in that folder, you'll see there's a variety of different footage. Most of it's just like the jungles of Colombia here. So you'll notice right here is a water one. It's about 40 seconds of water. And then this one is a few seconds of there. What I really want is the ants right here. This is 27 seconds of panning. No, that's not very good there. Let's see. Where's my ants at? Oh, here we go. What is this one? There we go. Here's 1 minute 48 seconds of ants going crazy here. You see them? Okay. So whatever, this one with the mud. So if I wanted to use this one and slow it down, I can take it and drag it into my timeline. And so there's a couple ways of slowing it down in the timeline. You can either do it by hand with a tool, or you can right click on it and change it by numeric value. So let's look at both ways. So if I want to slow this down or speed up these ants here, one way of doing it is if you right click on it and go to where it says speed and duration, you can go and change the speed right here by percentage. So if I wanted it to go slower, I would put what, 50 in there? Hit OK, and now the ants are going to go 50% slower. And you can see them walking kind of slow. I'm going to undo that. Okay, if I want them to go faster, I'm going to go again, speed and duration. I would put 200 in, twice as fast. Hit OK, and then they will then go twice as fast. But of course your audio goes twice as fast as well. So you get chipmunks, right? You guys all like Alvin and the Chipmunks, right? Okay. So I'm going to undo that. Another thing I use this for is reversing footage. So if I also want to reverse the footage, oh, what did I just do there? I don't like when I, whatever. Really? Whatever. So the other thing I use this for is, so you want the ants to go backwards. You can right click on there, go to speed and duration, and under speed and duration there's a checkbox that says reverse speed right there. By reverse speed and you hit OK, it'll actually go backwards now. And I use this a lot. I kind of edit backwards sometimes. So now the ants are crawling backwards. You can see them going backwards in the footage here. Let me zoom in here. Oh, too much. There you go. Well, that's too much. Oh, can't really see them. There you go. But of course the audio is going backwards too. Now we're playing the Beatles.
Or you're in the red room.
Yeah. Yes?
You just do reverse on the video, on the audio.
There's an option there. I think it says maintain pitch. I haven't really tried it, but see if check that box and tell me if the audio goes back to normal. If you wanted the audio to be normal, what I would do is unlink them. I'll show you that right now. We'll unlink the audio and then take the audio and tell that to be forward. So right now by default, that's a problem because you know, by default it assumes that these are linked together, and it does that on purpose so that if it's somebody talking, you don't want their audio to be mixed up. So it does that automatically. But if you want to be able to split these so that you can work on them separately, if you right click on there again and say, you say unlink right here. There's an option that says unlink right here. If you choose that option, it says unlink right there. Now they're separate. And I can go back to the audio and tell that not to be reversed. I'm going to go back and uncheck the reverse for the audio. And now the ants are going backwards, but the audio is going forward. Again, how I did that was unlink. Again, the unlink was under here. There's an unlink option. Unlink right here. That then separates the video and the audio so that you can work on them separately. And then you can then go and adjust each one. So the audio goes forward now. I don't know, it's one of my sons talking, I think. Yeah. Okay. What else do we have in this Columbia footage? So we got some that. We got some jungle footage. What is this one? Is that the oh, that's the same one. What is this one? What is this one? Okay, so let's talk about superimposing, and then we'll do a split screen if you want to do split screen today. I was going to give you that assignment towards the end of class, but I'm also show it now that we're already here. So let's do some superimposing, and what a superimposing is, where I'm gonna select some of this close up of this moth here, or whatever it is. And I know the quality of this video is not very good because it's not high definition. I don't think it's high definition. Oh, here we go. Maybe this is better right here. Yeah, let's try this. So I'm going to select some of this right there. And I'm going to put this footage over top of this footage. And I'm going to slow it down. Let me speed these ants up a little bit. Let me speed them up a little bit. I'm going to go to speed and duration. And, oh, if you want to do it by hand, oh, no, we'll do it. Let's speed it up. What do we go? 200%? Double. Okay. So there. Uh-oh, look at the audio didn't speed up though. Remember that? So for this footage, I want this moth thing to kind of be blurred and blended with the one underneath it, and I want it to last the entire duration of the ants. So how can we superimpose these together? Well, if you've ever used Photoshop before, you might have used the blending mode. Does anybody use the blending mode? Or you got opacity as well. So the two ways that we can merge these two together would either be to do a split screen where you see one and the other next to each other. Split screen, kind of like the remember the Hockney thing, right? Where you had the different windows, right? Well, you can do something like that in Premiere. I call it a split screen. But here's one way. I'm going to use a blending mode. If I select, let me zoom in here so we can see the footage kind of together here. In fact, let's stretch it out. Let's stretch it out. We want to have the butterfly be the entire duration of the ants. Now, of course, the butterfly is kind of quick here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to stretch it out by, slow it way down. Slow it way down. So to do that, I'm going to use a tool in the toolbar here. If we click over here on the toolbar, you'll notice there is one under here. Where is it? It's under this one. This one. It's under this one, the ripple tool right here. And I know we haven't looked at the ripple tool in the rule edit. We're going to be looking at those specifically next week, especially if we have two people talking and we're trying to do some really fine-tuned editing. We're going to be using these tools right here to do fine-tuned editing. No, I just held the mouse down. So not this one, right here. I held the mouse down. I'm going to go to the rate stretch tool. This one will change the time of your video by using the tool. It's called the rate stretch tool. I'm going to put my cursor along the edge of this footage, and I'm going to drag out to the end. What I just done is change the speed of it, and you'll notice it changed it to 6.91 seconds%. So now this will be really slow. See how it's really slow? Yeah, it's really slow. And of course it's covering the stuff underneath it, but we want to blend them together. Let's do some special effects blending. To blend this really slow footage over top of the other one, I'm going to use the first technique I'm going to use is a blending mode. Blending modes are in Photoshop, and I recommend highly that you go and look at those so that you can see how they work, so that maybe you can see how you could use them in video, because it's much easier to use Photoshop than it is to you sit there and wait for a video to render, right? So I recommend highly to go to Photoshop, open up two pictures together, put them over top of each other, and try the blending mode. So here, let's just do one. We'll take this one, and we'll take this one. I'll open them up in Photoshop. So one is a landscape, and the other one is a brick wall. See, or not a wall, but studs. So I'm going to copy this and put it over top of this. So now I have two pictures over top of each other inside of Photoshop. And then the blending mode is this one right here. See how it says normal right here in Photoshop? You got dissolve, you have darken, you have multiply, you have color burn, you have linear burn, you have dark color,
So you just copy
you have light color. Yeah, I just copied and pasted one over the other. But you have these effects that I'm showing you inside of Premiere. So I'm just showing you, go to Photoshop and try them and see what they do, and then try them in video, because video takes time. This is much faster. Look how I'm going through the list really quick, right? So they're called blending modes. They're right there. You have them in Premiere. I'm going to show you where they're at, so you might want to blend video together, right? This is like the 80s music video, right? Some of us remember the 80s music video. 90s music video. Okay, so these blending modes are inside of Premiere. So there's a whole bunch of them. The ones I pretty much use are overlay. That one, because it kind of dissolves them together. See that? The overlay works really well. The overlay, and then difference is going to be kind of trippy like there. This is the other thing, and then so on. So in Premiere, you have the same idea. No, I don't want that. In Premiere, we got the same idea. So you select it. Select the top one, of course, because we're going to blend the one that's on top down to the one underneath. To do the blending modes, it's going to be under the effects controls right here. Under effects controls. Under effects controls, you have blending mode down here. Again, it's on the one on top. Blending mode is here. And if you look, you got the same ones you got in Photoshop. Okay, so all the ones, again, I like overlay. And so now we got that. And if it's too much and you can't see the ants underneath it, you can always change the opacity. Opacity is the transparency as well. And I can turn the transparency down, and so we could get just a slight butterfly flickering over top of our ants. Here, let me make this a little bigger so we can see it. So again, I did a little bit of there we go. And so you can see the butterfly kind of slowing down with the ants underneath it. It's probably not the best example, but I'm trying to get you to think of a concept here. Again, and you can do these over time too. You can actually do at least the opacity over time. So you can have it blend in and blend out. Right now it's set at 96, but you can see. This is new. The blending mode wasn't in older versions of Premiere. They added the blending mode within the last 2 years, I believe. So that wasn't always there, the blending mode. Something they've added recently. Again, it's underneath the effects control blending mode, and the same ones you have in Photoshop. So that's one easy, good way of blending video footage together. As you can see, again, overlay is one. I don't know. Screen is another good one. Color dodge, linear light. So that one's kind of cool. There you go. Okay, so those are kind of ways that you can blend together, and there's other ways that I'll demonstrate a little bit later. Let's do a split screen real quick. So let's say that we want to take 4 video footages that you have here from Columbia and put them all together in a kind of here, and I'll show you what I mean. I have an assignment for you a little bit later in the class, and let's get to Canvas for just a minute here. I don't think I have Canvas open right now, but let's get to Canvas real quick here. West Valley again. So a little bit later in the semester, I was going to have you do either a demonstration video, which is a video where you demonstrate something. I have a lot of students who do demonstration video, or a split screen. So look ahead, look at some of these. But I want to show you the split screen. Here's a split screen I'm going to demonstrate right now. So I have 4 different video footage kind of going all at the same time. How do I do that in Premiere? Basically, it's by scaling it down. That's all. Scale it down. You can scale by percentage and then move it around. So let me demonstrate this if you want to try something like this. Again, it's called a split screen. And just think about how the video would go together as well.
You can animate them too, right?
You can animate them and do things, yeah. So here's how I do a split screen. I'm going to start with a new sequence. And I'm going to drag my 4 video footages in. Let me make them all kind of the same length. So this one is, oh, where is it? So we got our river here. We got a river. Let me go. Let me do 30 seconds, or I don't know if I have 30. Let me do like 10 seconds. So we'll do 10 seconds of river. And then we have this. Is this 10 seconds? 12 seconds. Yeah, we got enough here, I think. 10 seconds of this. And then we have our 10 seconds of our ant. And then we have 10 seconds of, what else do we have? Oh, we got some jungle action here. Oh, there we go. There's some speeding up. Well, maybe we, how about we put this in and speed it up? We'll put the whole thing in, and then if you remember, how do we rate stretch? This one right here, rate stretch, and we'll shrink it down. There we go. So that one's going to be going crazy. So that one's a kind of crazy one there. So we have 4 video footages up there. So the easiest way to do the kind of split screen where you have all 4 video footages to shrink them down and move them around. Okay, to shrink them down and move them around, I'm going to click on one of them. If I can click on the top one, I'm going to Effects Controls. I'm going to scale it down 50%, or actually 25%. Is that what I want? 25 or 50%. Let me fit this to the screen. Yeah, just 50%. And then you can position it by either clicking on the motion right here, the word motion, and drag it to the corner you want. Or you can put in some position. They have some things here. And so I'm going to grab the second one that I want. Again, 50%. And I'm going to drag it into the, oh, again, click the word motion. Allows you to drag it around. And then, again, I'm going to click on another one. Scale it down 50%. You can use the word motion. Drag that to a corner. And then the last one, shrink that down 50%, and then drag that to a corner as well. And now you have your 4 video footage. And then I just put some lines in between. I think I used the title window to make some lines. If you want to make some lines, you can do that in the title window by using the title, which they're going to get rid of anyway soon. I think I used the rectangle tool, drew a black line down the middle there, make that black, and then drew another one. So there, I just made kind of like lines, and then I just threw that on top of everything. There we go. Throw that on top of everything. Stretch that out. Oh, I can't find it. The problem with that is it's only 2 frames. Remember we changed the frame rate for a still image? And there it is. So you'll run into that problem as well. So again, a quick split screen. I did some lines in the title window, and then they're all together. And it has 4 audios altogether. Yes.
So is that in that project? Do you want all 4 audios running?
No, I just try split screen if you want, or a demonstration. You got a choice. We can talk about that later. It was just something I wanted to show now while we had this footage together. So again, this is very easy to do, split screen. But of course, you need to find some footage that relates to each other, I guess. I don't know, unless you want to do random. Let's take a little break, and then I will set the cameras up, and we'll talk about doing stop motion or speed up, slow down videos with our camera. Let's take a little break though, and let me stop this video for right now.